Hiya folks, um, hope you're okay, and going to continue with our journey of awakening. In this talk, I'm going to just talk a little bit about our makeup, what we're made up of, and particularly when we use the word spiritual, what it actually means. When I started the work, this work back in 1969, I used to read a lot of yoga books and took a big interest in reading, as I have most of my life, to be honest. But then I was looking particularly for information and direction in terms of my spiritual development, unfoldment. It's actually unfoldment, which is really one of the points I want to make. And reading, it seemed very much as if we have to connect with something bigger than us, something spiritual, something divine, and what it created in me was the idea that there was a separate self other than me that I had to establish a connection with. And what I found through direct experience, I must add, because what I'd had before then was an idea, a concept, and then when I had the experience, it changed my view in terms of what we call spiritual and or divine within us. And I realized that what I'm seeking is not a union, it's a greater unfoldment of what I actually am and what in fact we all are. It wasn't something separate, because deep down and not too far away, you and I are all the same self. We are all God, whatever you want to call it. We're all divine beings. And the techniques and practices of yoga, qigong, guidance from a teacher who is awakened or enlightened, can help you to re-establish that understanding with what we actually are. This core essence that we are returning to, so to speak, is just consciousness. It's just awareness. It's not our mind and not our body, although they play important parts. But it is pure consciousness. And consciousness is, pure consciousness is just formless awareness without content. When you get into a deep meditation, when you have your consciousness activated by being with a teacher, your energy can be triggered off if they have any energy, and if they have any awakening or enlightenment. And this can bring you to the realization experientially that your essence is pure consciousness. And it's not something that we have to go and look for outside of ourselves. It's actually within. It's already there. And in fact, it's an unfoldment to what's already present. And the experience is quite profound as a shift into feeling that you are present all the time, that you are here and now. And there's often a lot of books about here and now, or and they sort of talk about being here and now and exercises to do. You can't really make yourself here and now. I mean, you can be present with what you're doing, but that's not the same as being here and now in a transcendent sense. Being here and now in a transcendent sense unfolds through the practices. You just go into them and you experience this great sense of transcendent freedom. This is the very core of our being, is transcendence, pure consciousness, infinite, absolute self. It's got no form to it, it's just a big spaciousness. My understanding is that consciousness, that pure consciousness, precedes all form, precedes all of what is created, and it gives rise to what is created. But also, what is created is a manifestation of pure consciousness. In saying that, we're saying that what's manifested and what's unmanifest are actually all the same reality. It's all consciousness. It's just one is formed and one is not formed. In terms of our understanding, also, consciousness is experienced or known as being an aware state, an aware presence within you. And the deeper you go, the more profound you become aware of consciousness, then the greater sense of connectedness or connectivity exists in our lives. And also the greater the sense of peace and well-being that just emanates from within ourselves. This to me has been the message of all the great spiritual teachers, all the great visionary philosophers, and people who, mystics, people who tried to help humanity and remind everybody of what exists within us. The world we live in is very much of the senses. It's the world, our mind and the world. That's what most people's lives are made up of. And with this model, or this view on things, the core of everything is not in the world and not with your mind, but the core is your consciousness. And that consciousness does not actually belong to you, it's infinite and is the core of everybody else. It's the same intelligence, it's the same energy, and it's the same freedom. Now, as well as having pure consciousness, as I was saying earlier, this includes the other parts as well. They're not excluded. The mind and the body are also part of this picture. Consciousness needs a conduit, a channel to work through to manifest itself. And so it needs a reference point. Your ego, your mind, whatever you want to call it, is the reference point. And consciousness then is like a down step of the energy down into the ego. You need an ego to function. There's no way you can't. There's nothing wrong with an ego. The problem is when an ego becomes prominent, and that's all there is in regards our understanding of ourselves. And that's not the truth. That's a distortion of reality. But consciousness with our ego working together is a much more realistic model. I don't think I've met a spiritual teacher who hadn't got an ego. And I think what's written often in books about loss of ego is fantasy, and there's, you know, it doesn't, it's not real basically. So the spiritual path is a recognition of that core consciousness within us to a greater and greater degree as we work to recognize that within us, within ourselves, and also then to manifest that through our personality, through our mind, and through our physical bodies into the world around us. And spiritual journey is a long journey. It's not something that's going to happen in this one lifetime. I think it's over many, many, many lifetimes. And you should, I would say, you should take advantage of any opportunity offered to enhance your understanding of that truth. You should do all you can, because any kind of freedom, understanding in life, which a lot of people talk about, starts within ourselves. It's not something outside. Understanding, self-acceptance, love, all start from within ourselves, with ourselves. And to externalize it, you know, to say like peace is something you try to create outside is not really correct. Peace doesn't exist within form because everything's changing all the time. There is a continual friction and ups and downs. Peace lies at the very core of our existence, and it is not something that you can make. It is something that can be unfolded and you can know, and it is in essence the experiencer, the thing deep within you, consciousness itself, that experiences the mind, the world, as the essence. It's the electricity. The mind is like the light bulb. The light bulb needs the electricity, and the most important thing is that essence, is that electricity, because without the electricity there isn't any light, even if you have 1,000,000 bulbs. So I think that's about it really. Don't want to go on too much, and I'd just like to thank you all for tuning in and having a listen to this, and I hope that you find some value and some inspiration in it. Remember, you can always contact me anytime you like, and I'll be very happy to help you in any way I can. Okay, thank you very much, and see you soon. Bye bye. Okay. Oh, thanks.